So I'm scrolling through social media like we all do, and I saw these beautiful set of nails. Turns out I know the artist, so I decided to contact her so I can do it almost the same as she does. Let's get started. So when I found out this artist is Natasha Harton, I was elated because she is actually someone I've known for a very long time. She sent over these products and I want to introduce Tasha Harton. Hi, Tasha. How are you, sweetheart?
Hi. I'm good, Suzie. How are you?
Good. Well, Tasha and I go back a long way, actually. We have been nail technicians together. We work in the same town. You have had a salon on the same street that I opened up my salon in the past 5 years. I love your work because it's so detailed. So when I saw this design, I realized how detailed is this. So you sent me some goodies. Let's get started. I've done my nails. I've sculpted it out. I've used the foo-foo mix. I like to mix the foo-foo pink and the pink together to create this beautiful look. So what's my next step?
Great. So our next step is we're actually going to apply the base color for our design, which is color number 131 from Ugly Duckling. It's this beautiful, beautiful sheer ballerina pink almost, and it works beautifully for this layer technique that we're going to do.
Okay, I'll just pull these items out so we have them all ready to go. I'm excited to see how you created this look. One thing you really seem to like a lot, oh, that's cute. They always give you these candies and stuff. One thing I think your style is this vintage flower. You really have mastered this dainty detail, and that's what I really appreciate about your work. I think it's so delicate. So how did you come across this design?
Thank you very much. Florals have always kind of been something that I've loved to doodle. Whenever I doodle, even if I'm on the phone with somebody, I'm always doodling flowers and that sort of thing. And I was playing around with layers. I do like a lot of layers in my art. And I kind of wanted to make the flowers and leaves look dimensional without adding any physical dimension on the nail.
Got you.
Yeah.
That's what I think I appreciate about your work, is that you don't make it thick. You've added all this beautiful artwork, but you didn't add any thickness. And you've really kept the structural integrity of that thin nail, which I so appreciate. That's what I really love. So Natasha, how did you come up with this design?
Well, I was actually playing around. I play around at home with nails quite a bit. And I was also thinking ahead. My cousin's getting married next year.
Ooh.
And I was thinking ahead for some bridal designs. And florals, of course, I love. So I kind of tried to combine the two. And just from playing around at home, I came up with this layered design.
That's funny that you say that, because when I was scrolling and I saw this on your Instagram feed, first thing I thought was, oh, these would be beautiful for a wedding. So you totally nailed that. Pun intended. Yeah, I really thought that. But I was also looking at it. You could change the colors and really do like a red green or even Halloween colors and really change it up and get a completely different seasonal look, couldn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because I have done a similar technique at Christmas time with like a transparent blue and then snowflakes. So you do snowflakes in the background.
Beautiful. I'm sure I saw it. Probably took my breath away. How long am I nuking this for, sweetie?
45 seconds in an LED light.
Okay. That must be a timed thing, as they usually are. Okay, so now we get to the exciting part. What do we do next?
Okay, so our next step is we actually are going to take our one of our new products of our white art gel. And this is a thicker viscosity than our gel polish. And it's actually quite pigmented as well. So the color payoff from this is really, really nice, which is helpful to keeping your design nice and thin as well.
So
you're going,
when you say that you're using this particular with a thicker viscosity, that is part of the trick? Is that what part gives this design a little bit of texture? Is that what I'm seeing?
It is.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we don't remove the stick on the gel that's already there. Is that right?
No, we're gonna keep that.
Okay. Oop.
And then you're also going to take your painter brush, which is one of our art brushes, and we are going to load the brush with just a bit of the art gel. We're not wanting to use too much at this point because we are wanting to make this layer of our design as flat as possible.
Okay, and you said the painter brush, detailer 2 and painter. Okay. So Natasha sent all these products to me because I wanted to make sure that I tried to get the most accurate, same look as that she got. And I do know that you can certainly use other products, but I wanted to make sure that I had everything in like an even playing field to see if I could create the same look using the same things. Ooh, look at how beautifully white that is. Oopsie. Okay, let me just get rid of that. Okay, what's the next step, boss?
So we're going to create the back layer of all of our petals. And typically when I do a design like this, I like to do my flowers in groups of odd numbers. I find that gives a good balance to the nail.
You got
rather
it.
than having equal numbers. So typically, yeah, depending on the length of the nail, I'll probably do 3 flowers. I believe your nails are a little bit longer, so we can probably get away with doing 3.
Okay, so I'm just calling up the picture because I just want to have a reference so I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
So I see that you've got a translucent-ish layer underneath. So when you say that, paint like the 3 petals and then just do it lightly?
Yeah, you're going to do it lightly. So basically what I did is I kind of created almost 3 teardrop shapes, upside down teardrops.
Okay.
So you're going to want the thickest part of the teardrop at the top of the flower. And then as you drag to the center of the flower, you're going to make the teardrop come to a nice point. And it doesn't have to be perfect because this is in the back anyways. So if it doesn't come to an exact point, it's not a big deal.
It's a good practice point, isn't it? Did I have to prepare the brush in any way?
Yes, if it's a brand new brush, absolutely. You're going to want to work. It has a little bit of starch in the bristles to hold the brush.
That's what I forgot to do. So it's a little stiff. So
Yeah.
how do you remove that? Just with the alcohol?
You can just take like a clean wipe and kind of work out the clean wipe and just work out the bristles a little bit.
Yeah.
That'll loosen the starch. And then I always treat my art brushes with a little bit of the tacky top. I just work that into the bristles.
And you do that before you start designing?
Sometimes I will, and then always after I'm done as well.
Got you. So it's sort of like,
my brush.
Okay, that's a great tip. It's sort of like conditioning your brush when you leave it sitting. Okay. Okay, so I've cleaned that starchy tacky layer.
Perfect.
This doesn't look very see-through. It looks quite white, so I'm going to wipe some away. Would that be okay?
It will be white. It's okay. If it's not see-through, it's okay. The key is just to keeping it thin. It is going to be very pigmented. The art gel is very, very pigment rich.
Yeah.
So that's totally fine. That's actually what we're looking for.
Okay.
We still want it nice and crisp in the background.
So do 3 petals next to each other kind of thing.
So yeah, so I start with the center one and then I work on the outside ones. And the outside ones are almost like quotation marks. So they're like commas that will come into a point to meet the center point of the first petal.
Okay, that's good. I didn't do that, but I will do that for the next ones. And how many do I do on that back layer?
I usually do 3. And then if you find that there's large gaps in between the petals, you can go back and add more and make more gel and make them kind of thicker and more full. Okay,
so I see you did some like buds. I should do some buds.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
so you can do some buds. So for the buds, all I did was just did a really like a quick little rough dot exactly like that. And usually I do those in groups of 2 or 3. Sometimes I'll make one larger, sometimes I'll make them smaller.
Okay.
Beautiful. And then I've also added some leaves as well. And the leaves, again, are just a really loose leaf shape. There's no need for extreme detail.
So when you did the tiny ones, did you do that on the base layer too as well? The little buds?
I did.
You did. Okay, so I'm going to copy that.
Yeah.
Do you get upset when people copy your designs?
I don't. I love seeing people recreate designs.
Yeah.
I do. I get really excited. It's a big compliment. And the one thing that makes me sad is when they don't tag me so I can't see. Because sometimes I'll scroll through and I'll see a design that they've done and I'm like, oh, it looks like one that I've done, but they haven't tagged me so I can't see it. And I always like to try and comment when I see that.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah. Okay, so the trick is when you do it, make sure you do it thin. That's what you're telling me.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. Yep. And then, so the buds and the leaves, you're kind of just using to fill in any open space. If you want just one flower like you've done there, or if you want a couple flowers, you can do that too, kind of stagger them around the nail. And then I use the buds and the leaves to fill in space. So we're just laying out the background layer right now.
Okay, I think I'm actually making... Sorry, go ahead.
And then we're going to add more dimension later on.
Okay, I think I'm actually making it a little bit too thick. So I'm just going out now and trying to change it by making it a little bit thinner.
Sure.
That's what I think I like so much about your work, is that it's so delicate, and it gives it that, I mean, you're working on a tiny little surface. One good thing about it is when you make a mistake, you can just erase it, right?
Absolutely. That's why I love gel.
Yeah, isn't it true? I think I just made that stem I think a little bit chunky. And I don't.
So actually, what I'm going to mention for the stems, is I actually get out my detailer 2 brush, and I'll use that to create the stem. And that one is my absolute favorite brush.
Right, because you can make those tiny little details.
Yeah.
Okay, and it has a little starch in this one too, I would imagine, all brushes.
A tiny bit.
Okay.
A tiny bit. And just like you're doing, using the wipe is perfect, whether you're prepping an art brush or an acrylic brush, we never really want to handle it with our fingertips because it'll transfer oils.
I used to go like this, just like before we had all the rules come in. Probably how we learned all this stuff is because us OGs were going like this and taking them. That's it, We're learning. Even the old folks like us are learning. Okay, that's a good tip. So use the nice detailer to get that tiny little stem. And that is super tiny. Look at that. That was a really good tip. Thank you for saving my butt on that.
No problem.
It's so nice to have an artist that I find our industry is so wonderfully helpful. I'm hoping I'm not facing a situation where I'm asking an artist to help me, and then they start like when your grandma or mother-in-law doesn't give you all the ingredients in a recipe that you're trying to make for your spouse to make you look bad. So it's so nice that you're so open to be able to share the details.
I love to. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I like your little stems better. Okay, boss, what do I do next? That's my first layer. Can I leave it at that?
Absolutely. If you're happy with that. Sometimes I get a little crazy and I add too many leaves and too many buds, but that looks beautiful. So you can go ahead and cure that if you're ready.
Yeah, I could tend to do that. I could tend to get to the point where sometimes you overdo a design, and that's obviously what artists do face, and I just don't want to go there. So I'm just going to call it and just let it be.
Perfect.
So I can nuke it?
So you can go ahead and cure that. Absolutely. 45 seconds.
45 seconds. Let me move my gel so I don't nuke it in there. Okay. Now, you have some amazing pieces of work, and I really would love everybody to see some of your beautiful pieces of work. So what do you have that you can show me I'm sure it's on your phone?
Let me take a look here. Let me grab my trusty phone. So one of my favorite pieces, I guess you could say, that I've done was actually when Ugly Duckling first launched, and I first started really getting into using gel polish for my designs. I used to, I'm sure as you did too, break out the old acrylic paint all the time, or nail polish, and try and paint with that. And
honestly, didn't gel polish? It just changed our game for painting pictures. And I remember when you did, I think I know what you're going to show us, because when I first saw that you did that, I was just like, first of all, I thought, how did she do that? And what's the size of the magnifying glass that she's using? Anyway, what have you got? Show me. I'm curious what you're going to show me.
So this is one of my...
Oh, Tasha, I remember when I first saw that, my breath was just taken away. Like, how did she do that? Wow.
Thank you.
Always so impressive. I love looking at your work. It's like just a beautiful gallery.
Thank you.
Okay, boss, what do I do next?
Oh, I like this boss thing, Suzie.
The who?
The boss thing. I like this boss thing that's going on here.
Well, you're in charge today.
Okay, so next step is actually how we're going to start creating, the step before we're going to start creating the dimension. And this is the important part. We're actually going to apply a thin layer of our tacky top. And this is a clear gel. It's one of our top coats. But this is going to help create that little bit of a gap between our layers, which is going to help create some shadowing when we paint our next layer of petals. So this is really important for creating that dimension in your nail.
It's so interesting, and I'm so glad I'm able to talk to you about it, because I will tell you, I thought you put another layer of the gel polish color, and I would have done that. Because just looking at it, but like I say, this is why I want to talk to you, because it's so in the detail. So I would have done that, and I would have done it wrong, and I would have been frustrated. And I'm so glad I'm able to talk to you. Okay.
Well, you definitely can. You can definitely apply that another coat of the gel polish if you'd like to. It'll just mute the white in the background a lot more.
Yeah, it really would, wouldn't it? Okay, now I'm going to do it what you said. I'm just going to follow your lead. So just do a thin layer of this?
Yeah, a thin layer right over the whole nail.
Okay.
And then you're going to go ahead and cure that in the lamp for 45 seconds.
Okay. Have you got any more photos you want to share with me? While we're
some flower nails, I think. Yeah. Let me just bring up some stuff here. I've had my nails this long in a long time, so using my phone is very interesting.
Right. And what are you wearing on your nails right now?
Well, I'm wearing some floral. I don't know if you can see that very well.
Yeah. Beautiful. Lovely.
Thank you. Floral is one of my favorites, so this is another one of my favorite sets.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When Tash and I were discussing which ones we were going to do, that actually came up, and I wondered if we should do that one too. We sort of talked about 3 or 4. I mean, I could have done 10 of them, but we sort of narrowed it down to ones. But it was good because we're covering that floral pattern, which you're so good at. So 45 seconds for this guy.
45 seconds.
Okay. And I need the other brush that I'm going to go back to the painter brush.
Yes, please. Okay. So you're going to grab your painter brush.
Okay.
And we're going to use our white art gel again. This time we're going to use a little bit more product on the brush.
Okay.
And that way, when we're painting our strokes, we're actually going to create a little bit of dimension right in the gel because it'll be a little bit thicker.
Oh, okay. So don't use this so thin now. Use it a little bit thicker.
A little bit thicker.
So we're able to see the dimension sort of climbing up this way.
Exactly.
Okay.
So now the key, instead of working from the inside out, this time we're going to work from the outside in. So,
and you know what? I think I messed that up. I worked from the outside in last time, so.
That's okay. That's no problem. It's the background layer. It's not a big deal anyway.
Fair enough. So I'm doing this from the outside in. So from the tip of the leaf down to the base of the flower. Okay.
So the key actually with this is to make sure that we're actually going to be curing in between each petal. It does take a little bit longer, but it's just so that it holds it in place.
Gotcha.
Because the gel is a little bit thicker. So as we're creating those brush strokes and you get it into the lamp right away, it's going to hold some of that dimension that's created by running your brush through that thicker product. And
would the trick not to be go over the base color exactly the same pattern, but to sort of offset it a little bit so we can see? Okay.
You got it.
And just like a flash cure, you want to do like a 5 or 10 thing, or?
I would probably give it a 30-second cure just to be safe, because again, if it's too thick and the light can't penetrate it enough, it'll wrinkle a little bit.
Yes, that's
because
true.
it is so pigmented. So we want to make sure that we give it a good cure.
Right, good point. I'm really glad that your light actually turns off and on to touch, because it's a pain to have to turn it off every single time when you're going in and out for flash curing.
Yeah.
That should be about 30 there. Oh yeah, look at that. I'm actually doing it. Okay, so I probably should have started with the middle leaf, right?
No, I always start with the outside ones when I do this layer. So do the outside ones and then you work your way in. And sometimes, depending on how large you're making the petals, sometimes I find I'll need to do more than 3. Sometimes I'll have to do 4 or 5. It just depends on how large you're making the petals. That's looking beautiful so far.
My petals are thinner than yours, and I think that probably comes with a little bit of experience to have enough confidence to press down and actually make that petal. I'm kind of wimpy about it, so as I hopefully do the other ones, I'll get a little bit better. And having said that, and I know this trick, I should have done the thumb, because I can hide it so much better. Because when I first learned to do stuff, I usually do it on the thumb or the pinky, because everybody looks at the index and the next finger so much more clearly. I mean, that's what all of us nail technicians do. Somebody will come up to you and say, oh, let me see your nails. And we always put forth our non-dominant hand, because our dominant hand is making it killer good. And we always, instantly put our other hand somewhere else. So it can't be retrieved by the viewer. Behind your back, in a pocket. Exactly. That's our little nail technician trick.
True.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm going to finish the rest. So go over the other ones just as you said, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. And you, like you said, you want to make sure that you can see those background petals a little bit. And exactly how you're doing. If you want to make the petals larger, then just apply more pressure to your brush.
Yeah, I think that's what I need to do. Oh, I forgot to nuke it in between. I get a little bit excited. is this the last layer and then you top coat it?
A good trick actually when you're doing more dimensional painting like this is, like I mentioned, because you are using the gel a little bit thicker, the nail might end up a little bit bumpy before you top coat. So another great thing that tacky top is good for is actually kind of smoothing out your nail before you apply your final coat of top coat.
Right.
This will fill in any dips or grooves or anything like that.
Okay, so I am not familiar with the tacky top coat. I am very familiar with the Ugly Duckling line. Like I say, I've been using it in my salon for 5 years. But I'm not familiar with your tacky top coat. What is that all about? What was the idea behind your tacky top coat?
Well, actually, tacky top, we just renamed it. It was previously or formerly our base top.
Oh, I see. Oh, that I'm familiar with. I see. You just renamed it, so it makes more sense. Okay. Okay, so would I just go ahead and put the layers on those little ones too, correct? You just keep doing it?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep, you're going to layer up your leaves and your buds if you want to. The leaves, I kind of offset a little bit, so they're slightly overlapping, but you still want to see all that background work that you did.
Got you.
And at this stage too, if you found there was any open spaces, you could always add another couple leaves or something like that as well.
You're right,
because everything's going to be on different layers.
Yes, and I have noticed you have left a lot less open space than I did.
That's me just going crazy. I never know when to stop.
Don't you have to be a little crazy to be a nail technician, though?
Absolutely.
I've met a lot of them, and I think there's a little crazy in all of us, which helps us do things like that.
It's true. There has to be, I think.
Yeah. If I'm going to do the little buds and the stems, I should go back to my detailer too, right?
Yes, I would. Okay. Definitely. Definitely.
Okay. And do you double up on the stem as well? You do that as well?
No, I mean, you can, absolutely. But I kind of like to leave the stem in the background.
Okay, so one thing right off the bat I can see, and it's really an artistic flair. You clearly know what you're doing with placements with flower. And that's a big thing, is placements. And also the shape of. You have a real definition between, and we'll show the picture again. You can see her definition between her actual petals and flowers as opposed to leaves and buds. Whereas mine is like, what is that? So it just takes practice. And I will practice that. I got 3 fingers and a thumb to get it before the final photo. So hopefully I'll do that. Okay, maybe what might make it look a little bit better is filling in some of those little spaces. And maybe I'll just go over this a little bit just to give it some dimension. Almost like a white highlight.
Perfect. And this is the thing. This is what I try and tell students too, is that everybody's going to have their own style and their own technique. So,
but I like yours.
We can all do. Oh,
I want to get that style. Where do I buy that? What shelf? What aisle is that in? It's good to have a reference, but it's also a reminder of how much I need to improve on my petal shapes. But I think I'm able to get away with it if I do the other ones better. So I nuke this, right? To give it a final nuke when I'm done, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then how would I finish that, Tash? How would I finish
So the key is, remember to put one more thin coat of the tacky top on top, just to make sure that it kind of helps even out the surface. And then cure that. And then you can either seal it with matte or no wipe. I like both. So it definitely depends on what you're feeling.
Now in the photo, you did do a matte, didn't you?
I did. But it does look beautiful with no wipe too. So I think
sure
it depends on what you're feeling.
Cameraman, we really enjoy the top coat going on so shiny. But I have a feeling it also might amplify more mistakes. I'm not really sure. I only have the top coat, so I'm going to go with the no wipe. So that's how I'll finish it. So do the tack first. And how long do I nuke the tack for?
45 seconds.
Okay. And the no wipe is also 45?
You got it.
Okay, so we'll do the tack, and it does smooth it out a little bit. It just really creates a nice kind of even, smooth look over the whole thing, which is actually really nice to have. Sometimes, have you ever noticed when you're doing nail art and you're kind of not happy with it, you think you did this wrong and that wrong, and then you top coat it and you're like, it's not looking so bad. It actually looks pretty good now. Something about the top coat really saves your butt sometime.
Totally, and top coat is the best part because it totally brings everything out.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to put the top coat on. I see with the tacky, it sort of gives it another lifted layer and kind of gives it that bit of a dimensional look again.
It does, for sure.
Okay, I'll give that a 45-second nuke.
You got it?
Wow, I think I've got a good start. I've gotten all the information and the details of how you did it, and now I'm going to attempt to do all the other ones, and I'm sure I will learn as I go. So the next one I'm going to do is the thumb, then the pinky, then I'll do 2 other ones because they're right front and center. Well, thank you for walking me through that. I'm a big advocate of making sure that you get all the details, because often on social media you'll see people doing a beautiful design and they're doing this and that, but you don't know what brush is that? What is that top coat? What is that bottom coat? Yeah, you're not really quite sure what they've done. You can see the motions, but we don't know exactly what they've done. So I really advocate it's all in the details.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I think I'm ready to attack this on my own with all the information that you have given me. Thank you so much, Natasha. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of the nails, and I hope to make you proud.
You will. I know you will. I can't wait to see.
Thank you. Thanks for teaching me. We'll see you later.
Bye, Sue.
Wish me luck. Bye. Well, I've gotten some great tips. I'm now going to apply and do the rest of my fingers. I hope I can do her proud. Learning to paint the petals is an art within itself, but it's great to get tips. And I'm so grateful to get first-hand tips and the details combined with the right products to create these. It's a challenge, and it's something I'm going to have to work on to get it just the way I want it. But I do like them. They did turn out good, and I learned a lot. Thank you for joining me, and I want you to check out Olga, another great artist that helped me with some other types of flowers in this video.